So we're going to take a look at a very brief overview of the US government under the Constitution. So the power of the government comes from the people. It's this idea within democracies or republics where people hold the power. Also, you'll notice in the diagram that there are three branches of government. Instead of having a king or a monarch, which was common of the time, we had three branches of power. In our Constitution, it shows or lists the powers of our government. Our preamble, or the beginning of the Constitution, describes the powers of the government. The Bill of Rights were the first 10 amendments of the Constitution or additions to the Constitution. Here we see some of the most famous rights that Americans have today, such as freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of religion. The first branch of government listed in the Constitution is the legislative branch, which has two chambers. And as a result, we do call this a bicameral legislature for the two chambers. The House is based on population, so the more people living in a state, the more representatives they get. But in the Senate, there is equal representation. Every state gets 2 senators. And the main job of our representatives is to make laws that govern the whole of the United States. An important power listed or understood to be in the Constitution is the elastic clause, sometimes called the necessary and proper clause. And this states that the Constitution may be amended or changed in order to meet the changing conditions of society. So as America changes, so too should the laws and rules governing it. The next branch of government is the executive branch, which is listed in the Constitution. This branch is headed by the president, who is then supported by the vice president. Many advisors, called the cabinet, give advice and other pieces of critical information to the president on an almost daily basis. While these advisors are not specifically listed in the Constitution as a power of the president, it is called or part of the unwritten Constitution. Every 4 years in November, American citizens vote for who they think would be the best president for the United States. Each state has a group of members called the Electoral College, who then submit their votes for the president. Whichever candidate wins at least 270 electoral votes is then elected President of the United States. There is controversy of this, however. Many Americans feel that the popular vote, meaning your vote, my vote, our vote, should count and determine who the president is, not the Electoral College. And the reason this is because sometimes the candidate with the most votes by Americans does not win. Others feel that the Electoral College is a good system and protects minority voters or those whose opinions are not popular, as well as certain geographical areas. So the Electoral College determines the president. The last branch of government, the judicial branch, is headed by the Supreme Court. Their main function or job is to interpret laws. In this, there are 9 justices, in order so that there is not a tie, who have a main function or power called judicial review. Under judicial review, the justices look at the Constitution and compare it to laws written by Congress and or state governments. And they determine whether or not those laws are constitutional. So the Supreme Court determines the constitutionality of laws. If they say it's constitutional, then it's a good law. If not, it's a bad law. Another part of the Constitution is called federalism. And this is the division of powers between the federal and the state governments. They have different powers and they share certain powers. For example, only the federal government can go to war or coin money. States deal with schools as well as driver's licenses. Both levels of government are able to pass tax laws, determining how much tax should be collected in each state versus federal government. In order to prevent one branch from becoming too powerful, there's a series of checks and balances, such as Congress writing laws, the president has the power to veto those laws, and the Supreme Court can interpret those laws.